Well, all right. No. Okay. There we go. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 22nd day of July, 2019. Well, let's talk a little bit about this numerology, given that we've got a master number today. 7 is the number for July, of course, and that's about balance, balancing shadows, the shadow side of self with spirit. We're in a 3-year, so we're manifesting. That aligns with the 22 day, which is the cosmic builder. It's a master number. 11, 22, 33, those are master numbers. They have a little bit more power than the other numbers do. But the thing about the 22 being the cosmic builder or what have you, we're talking about, it's a double of 11. And so we're talking about intuition and enlightenment and awareness, spiritual awareness magnified, because it's doubled, so it's magnified. And then it also, if you were to add them together, you have a 4, which you don't want to do with the master number. You don't want to add them together, but you can. And if you do that, then you can kind of see what is really taking place within that. Because that's all about structure and foundation, practicality, all of that discipline. And so the 22 gives us this power to manifest and to create in a way that truly is from spirit. We get this day once a month, so it's kind of nice to see what it actually is going to portend for us today. Maybe you're feeling, positive about something. Maybe you're feeling like something's going to happen that's going to be successful. Well, that's the 22 energy at work. Because it does have more power than any other number. It manifests our dreams. It's unlimited potential. It's about success. So this is going to be an interesting day for a Monday, isn't it? A day of emotion and change and cycles and mystery. If you work in magic today, that can focus on that. Well, let's taking a look at last week. Basically, we ended the week with the High Priestess starting the reading, and the Queen of Pentacles, Temperance, Allies, and Kata Draconis. I think that because of what's been going on in the news with the Epstein situation, I think that some of last week's cards were sort of supporting survivors, if you will, through this whole process. It's not easy when you're a survivor of abuse to hear about these things. It can bring up triggers, and so I think last week was sort of about that. And I think that also the other aspect of last week, again, manifestation was a big part of it, but then on Wednesday, we had the theme of knowing when to take control and when to allow. And how do we manifest authority within that? Either authority that's sovereign, to our own self, or authority we might have over others. How do we manifest that? When do we know to just stand back and let things happen? Even in terms of situations that are happening to us. So that was pretty much the overall theme of last week. I didn't do what I said I was going to do again. And I was going to write up all of it. I keep meaning to do that on Fridays, just sort of recap what the week has been like. And I still haven't done it. Now it's just too late. So I'm not going to. However, if you do go over to the blog, Stepping Aside, over at imsteppingaside.com, you will find a nice little post on Red Clover. There's also one on Yellow Dock. So check those out if you want to. I have not yet done the moon post for today. There is one up there, though, the most recent one, but it moved again. So I have to do that, get that going here in a little bit. so I'm not behind there. And then I think I'm also going to do, I'll either do that or I'll postpone it, and I won't do that. I won't do the current one. Maybe I'm going to do a tarot reading or something to sort of think about what might take place on Wednesday with the Mueller testimony. So far, that's still on. And so, barring any unforeseen influences and intervention, which I don't think he can at this point, but who knows? Didn't think a lot of things could happen that are happening, and yet they are. So we'll see. I might do something like that just to kind of get an idea of what the energies are going to be surrounding all of it. So, I mean, like we don't already know that, but sometimes it's nice to get a perspective from the tarot cards just to see what they have to say. So, anyhow, if this is your first time here, thank you so much for coming by. Welcome. Hopefully you'll come back and join our Tarot and Rune family here and explore all this stuff with us every day. Well, not every day, but 4 days a week anyway, Monday through Thursday. And we take a look at the tarot influences and the rune influences. And then at the very end, I do a geomancy glyph for everyone to try to tie it all together. It's sort of geomancy is an earth element type of a divination method. It can take a lot of different forms. We can talk about geomancy. We can talk about the ley lines of the earth. We can talk about witching or dowsing. We can talk about pendulum work. So, but what we're doing, irrespective of how we do it, it's really about interacting with earth energies and seeing how all of that settles out, and what the influences might be there. So we'll do that at the very end. So if you've come back, thank you so much. I'm so happy to see everybody as we continue on this journey together. So let's take our first card. I was out harvesting raspberries, and my raspberries are as big as my thumb. Now, occasionally I'd see one out there in years past, but I've never had 99% of my raspberries be that big. So I'm thrilled. I'm just thrilled. I'll make jams and we'll make some wine and we'll freeze them for smoothies and the chickens love frozen raspberries, by the way. Frozen anything, frozen corn, they like that too. So they get all of the stuff that, is from the year before, but they like it in the summertime. Like right now, we're going to have some days where we're going to be in the 90s, and they like to have just some frozen stuff to pick at. It keeps them cool. And of course they love berries. So anyhow, well, we have the Three of Swords. This is about jealousy and betrayal. You see three swords piercing a heart. You see rain coming down from some clouds in the background. It's a card of both emotion and intellect, but it is the suit of swords, so it represents elemental air, or our mind, our communication, our thoughts. Three is a foundational number in that it represents the triangle, right? Or the pyramid. And so we have there's a certain level of balance, of manifesting balance between that. When you're looking at, for example, the Magician card, you're looking at, I want to get this right here, so I'm going to look. It's Mercury, sulfur, and salt, I believe. Is it Mercury, sulfur, and salt? It's the creative force in action, wisdom, will, and word. Well, in any event, okay, I don't have that down here. I wonder where that was. I wonder if that was in the Hierophant. Again, you see that sort of thing, that the as above, so below, but it's not just that, it's mind, body, spirit. So you're talking not just about spiritual energy and earth energy and you're talking about the individual themselves within this. But what we have here, I forgot to turn on the air. But what we have here with the three, we're talking mind, body, spirit is not in balance here, is it? Because you've got two people behind the one in the center. Essentially, if you wanted to attribute this to people, then you would have two people in the back that are causing grief for the one in the front, you see. Given that we have a 22 day, we have to ask ourselves, what are we going to build? Are we going to build a response to this and allow this to affect us, whatever's happening? Are we going to take the bull by the horns? I mean, clearly we don't have enough information here, do we? To know for sure what's going on here. But there's been some kind of drama triangle that's happened. You may be involved in it with other people. This could be, it's typically not something, though, it's not seen as something that's happening within, although you could be having some kind of struggle within. But likely this is about some other people in your life and how they're affecting you. Let's get some more information, though. It's not a fun way to start a Monday, though, is it? But with the cosmic builder number, you know, with 22, it's the most powerful number we have. So it's telling you that even with this drama triangle, you have the power to sort of move around it, you know, and to manifest something else and to not become involved. Just because it's happening doesn't mean you have to necessarily pay it any attention. Although it just depends, I guess, on what it is. Because if it's really something that's going to affect your life, you know, if say you have a relationship, if this depicts a relationship, for example, where maybe your partner is having an affair or something, or maybe you have, if it's a business or something, you may have, if you've got two other business partners, you may have the other two either acting in concert against you, or perhaps they're just not pulling their own weight, and you're the only one who's struggling to keep things afloat. I mean, it can mean any kind of betrayal, but typically, you know, it has to do with jealousy. You know, we see the heart here. And so it's about emotion. And it isn't just the emotion we feel because this is happening. Sometimes the emotion is the point of it. We hear that lately, these days, that about what's happening with the migrants on the border, that the cruelty is the point. Think about that. The cruelty is the point. And so in a very real sense, you know, what are we going to build? Are we going to build cruelty? Are we going to build, you know, betrayal into our lives? Are we going to remain there? Or are we going to find something else, you know, that makes a little more sense? And if you've been here before, you know I always take the 13th card. I like this to be random, and I'll do, you know, 3 or 4 cards, depending. Sometimes I stop at 3, but once in a while it feels like I need to do one more, and we'll do that. And at that point, that's when I'll reach in the rune bag, and we'll find out what the rune is for the day. Well, this is a 6 of Wands. Now, this presents a little bit different experience than the 3 of Swords. Here, Wands is about will. It's the fire element. But this is about victory. We're all going in the same direction here. There's a sense of harmony. You see 5 swords behind him, or 5 swords, five staffs are representing wands behind him. You see a wreath both attached to the one in his hand on the guy on the horse, and you also see a garland, a wreath around his head. So clearly there's been some success. He's coming back from either battle, or maybe, if not battle, maybe there was some negotiation somewhere, and he's coming back and it was successful. But you can see that everyone's going in the same direction, aren't they? Here, this denotes strength from friends. So maybe in terms of, you know, and right now energetically we have a 9, 6 and 3 is 9 together with this. So maybe we're seeing that even though there is a little bit of drama going on in our lives, you know, that we really do have more support than we know. we might indeed be experiencing some betrayal, but we're not alone. And there are actually people who care about that. So perhaps we can look to them for support, if indeed, there's something that's, pretty crappy happening right now. But it's also saying that there needs to be, if this drama triangle that's happening is just something that, three people are at loggerheads, then maybe getting into the flow a little bit with one another, trying to find a way to go in the same direction. Even if you disagree on how you get there, at least if you have that as your goal, it's something to build on. Let's do one more card. Well, we have the Fool. And I mean, there couldn't be a better card, could there? The very first card 0 of the major arcana, our soul archetype cards, we're talking about the Fool here. He's on the precipice. Well, it's actually not a he, it's an androgynous being. We don't know yet what he or she is. He. But the Fool's got the knapsack over the right shoulder, a rose of purity in his left hand. We'll just say his, it's easier, isn't it? Little dog down there. And we see the recurrent theme of he's on the precipice, isn't he? He's right on the edge of a cliff. He's going to jump down into the abyss. Right here, he is the representation of unity consciousness as card 0. We see the sun shining. Spirit presence as he takes the leap of faith into the unknown, into life. Basically expressing the 22 energy as he does it, right? Well, we're still at a 9 energy, and that's completion. So maybe we should stop there with the cards. I think we will. And let's start trying to pull a rune here. What I do with them is I use my left hand, my receptive hand, and I just let them, I jumble them around. And when I have one left in my hand, that's the rune. That's how I do my bind runes too. I set my intention and start pulling runes. Well, after they've fallen into my hand, I pull them out. I just start pulling them out. Well, here we have Kenaz. That's a 6 energy. Again, aligning with the 6 of Wands. It's about enlightenment. It's the torch. It almost looks like a flashlight there, doesn't it? Like a beam of light could come out of it. Well, the light, of course, is of spirit. And the 6 energy, of course, is one of harmony. But it's a greater harmony. It's not just inner harmony. It's the awareness that there, in fact, are other people in the world, and that we're not the only person here. And that basically, like you see here with the 6 of Wands, you can see the harmonious movement together forward. Kenaz open to the right here, indeed, it indicates forward movement, forward progression. But basically what it's asking us to do, especially with respect to the 3 of Swords, their, head and heart is not in balance here. Things are happening. And, a lot of intellectual game playing is going on. Anytime you have a drama triangle, that's typically what's going on. You've got people playing games, and it's just tough to find your way through all of it. And you get stuck in all of it, and it's hard to extricate yourself. And so if we were to put the Kenaz next, after that, perhaps we've received a little bit of illumination and we've been able to see that we really do have undeveloped potential, so we can put the Fool next. And then we come to the Six of Wands, and we see that we go forward together, that that's the solution to the drama triangle, is to put things aside and to have a common shared purpose, so that whatever we're doing, we've at least got a shared purpose. We might argue a little bit about how we get there, but at least we have that goal in mind, that shared goal in mind. And remember that, the undeveloped potential is there for all of that, and that's what the Fool is telling us. Well, what I'm going to do here with the geomancy, as you know, if you've been here before, I have them all. There's actually 8 geomancy runes, and then if you turn them upside down or create their opposite, then you have 16. And so you can do this a variety of ways. I just chose to do runes, and I could just simply, take a rune out of here, but that's no fun. It's actually more fun to just sort of move them around and throw them down and see what you come up with. And we're going to put them in, there's a single dot on one side. What did I do with that? Oh, there it is. There's a single dot on one side and 2 dots on the other. And the 2 dots indicate a passive influence. The single dot indicates an active influence. And we're going to put them in the order of air, fire, water, and earth. And ultimately, we're going to have a 4-level, 4-line, basically, symbol or glyph or rune. When all is said and done. So let's see what we have here. We have a single dot for fire, a single dot for air, a single dot for water, and 2 dots for earth. I wouldn't throw it on the ground, but at least it headed in the right direction. So we have Kata Draconis, which is what we had on Thursday. And I'll show you what that looks like again. You have Caput Draconis and Kata Draconis. These 2 glyphs are actually, or symbols are actually connected with the nodes of the moon. And so you have Kata Draconis, which is, all right, is that this one? Yep. You have Kata Draconis, which is the tail of the dragon, and that's having to do with the south node of the moon, which deals with endings. And so our past or our Akashic record or what have you. So not just yesterday past, but the past lives, having to do with past lives and past influences in that respect, that are somewhat energetic and ancestral in a sense, maybe. But this is what I drew. You can see 3 active influences and 1 passive down there at the bottom. And what it has to do with endings. It has to do with endings and the end of the matter. Now, what it had to do with, again, on Thursday of last week, we were looking at intuition. We were looking at harmony. We were looking at, because temperance was there. All ye's is wisdom and the higher self. And I think that how I interpreted that, particularly with respect to the whole Epstein matter, I think that what we were interpreting that to be is the end of some of that, the effect, the end of the drama, the end of the illusion, if you will. More and more things are coming out, and as more and more things do come out, it's going to be both troubling and helpful, So it's sort of a double-edged sword that a survivor lives with, particularly if you're an empath. Things get really, really big when you're an empath, and so if you're that and a survivor as well, then this is a difficult time. But temperance was about balancing will with emotion, basically, with fire, with water, and figuring out a way to still assert yourself, but at the same time respect yourself as well. And I think that it was an interesting way to end that week. Same sort of thing here. Perhaps the ending has to do with whatever drama triangle that we're involved in, and that some undeveloped potential can take place now. With some illumination, the energy of the 22, you can do anything. You can manifest anything. We can manifest everything, anything too, as well, together, right? In collective consciousness, we manifest together all of this, which is why, the 22 is such a powerful number, because collectively we're creating everything that we see and experience together. No matter, what that looks like, that's still what's happening here. The premise of it's by agreement before we ever incarnate into form. And we can either play this out with spirit informing the process, or we can play it out with ego informing the process. But it seems like here, with the presence of Kenaz, if we set that just after, if we change the order here a little bit and we put that after the Three of Swords, then we've had some enlightenment. We've had some awakening, if you will, about whatever's going on here with this drama triangle, whatever upset that we're feeling, whatever we think might be happening behind the scenes to thwart whatever we're trying to do. Today's the 22 day. We're going to manifest whatever we want to. We manifest illumination. We can see clearly. We then decide, what, potential is ours. Let's just do this. Let's just get things done. We then see, after we do that, then we come together in shared purpose. We're going forward together. They're either headed off to something, but this card always has the feeling to me that he's returning from something. But it could also be that we're heading out together to do something, together in shared purpose. Seeing an end of the drama and an end of the division, which has been another ongoing theme of all of this for the last few months. Last year was an 11-year, and we learned a lot of things. We're still learning a lot of things. Wednesday, we're going to possibly learn some more, or at least hear Mr. Mueller say these things, in his own voice, which matters. It just matters. He has to be able to answer questions, because you've got too many people that are trying to, engage in the Three of Swords like behavior and muddy up the waters and try to make this seem like he's not a patriot, or he's not this or that, or he's, if you don't agree with the guy in the Oval Office, then you're a traitor and all this other stuff. Well, no, actually, it's kind of the other way around. And I think that going forward, again, in shared purpose, we're going to know that, this could be simply about, we've had a lot of stuff and nonsense up to this point, and a lot of lying, a lot of betrayal, a lot of distraction, from a lot of truth coming out. But truth has a funny way, doesn't it, of coming out anyway. And that's what I think is going on. We have all this revelation surrounding all of these men that are involved in sex trafficking of young children. The media has not figured out the language to use about it. The media seems to want to say that these are men that have sex with children. No, they didn't. They raped them. They didn't have sex. You can't have sex with a child. You rape the child. Wake up, use the right words. Because when you don't honor the survivors of this, the victims, the survivors. You don't honor those people that were harmed by all of these people. So, you've got all the worry now, is everyone in the black book truly someone who's a pedophile, or are they just somebody that Epstein sought to, on behalf of someone else, to compromise? Or did he just do it on his own and then use all of that compromising stuff as leverage for whatever he needed? I have no idea. I mean, it could be either one. Some are saying he's a Mossad agent. Maybe, maybe not. Some say he worked for the CIA. Maybe, maybe not. But I'm going to tell you right now, if any agency in our government turned a blind eye to sex trafficking of children, well, agency has to go, don't they? Maybe we need to rethink all of that. These deals that we give people so we can get somebody better. Have we gotten anybody better? Or are they just in place to keep the kind of behavior going that these other folks want going? See, that's what you don't know. And that's the part that's struggling for everybody involved, you know. Just like if you were a child that was involved in this, that was taken and abused this way, you know, you can't assess this when you're in the middle of it. And it's hard to do it after the fact because you don't know how intricate the whole thing is. Well, for this man to stay afloat as long as he has, it's pretty intricate. So it's going to take a while to unravel. So if you're a survivor, be gentle on yourself. Take whatever time out you need. If you need to turn off the TV, do it. You need to turn off this video, do it. Do whatever you have to do to protect yourself. You matter more than any of the things that are going on right now. We may see an end to some of the lies. You know, they can't go any further. Cauda draconis gives the feeling of this isn't going to go any further. You know, it's like there's too much light now. There's too much illumination. There's too much truth. And the lies and the deceit and the degradation and all of that's been going on, the betrayal, there's an ending to this. There has to be. So this week may be a week of endings where the lies have to end. You know, you can talk about no collusion. You can talk about all of those things, but the fact is that the report doesn't say that. It says the opposite. Even with what we have, it says the opposite. So I don't know where all of this is going to go. I hope it goes in the right direction. I hope it goes in the direction of shared purpose. The cards seem to suggest that it's going to. Because it's a little hard once truth hits you in the face enough times to ignore it any longer. And that may be what this is all telling us, that we may have suffered some betrayal, but we're about to get some news, some enlightenment. There's going to be a torch that lights the way and lights our way forward so we can take that leap together into a shared purpose and a shared experience to see the end of division and betrayal. So again, not bad for a Monday. Well, I think that's it for today, isn't it? I think we've gone as far as we can with this. I don't think another card's really going to give us anything else. So have hope. You're stronger than you've ever known. That's what the 22 is telling you. Just when you think you can't make it another step, trust me, you can. Go forward in full clarity, in full kenaz, and take that leap of faith in shared purpose together with others. It's who we are. It's what's supposed to happen, not all this other stuff. So anyhow, we'll see you tomorrow. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.